start by thanking the court for allowing me the time and opportunity to speak today. My name is Olivia, and I am the big sister of Kaylee Gonzalez, and I was blessed to love Madison Mogan as a sister too. I'm not here today to speak in grief. I'm here to speak in truth. Because the truth is, my sister Kaylee and her best friend Maddie were not yours to take. They were not yours to study, to stalk, or to silence. They were two pieces of a whole, the perfect yin and yang. They are everything that you could never be.
Let's talk about his stance here, because he's not a very attentive stance. It invites curiosity, but also is one of someone who perhaps feels a bit threatened. He isn't challenging the person speaking. His chin is not up. He's not revealing that vulnerable part of his body there. It's a bit down. His shoulders are up, a bit tense. His arms are at his side like this, a bit open, but this is the stance of someone who's not submitting himself to the grief and the anger in the room, or to any emotion it gives him this illusion of control that he actually does not have in this trial. But this is something we would very much do if we are feeling perhaps threatened, sitting like this, appearing to be superior to the person speaking, even if that is not reality. So he's very much not submitting himself to emotions here, though his lips thin out a bit. He has a little bit of content there, but not a high blink rate or anything else going on. That really confirms that that is exactly what we're seeing. We're not seeing anything else going on. Now, despite any diagnosis he may or may not have, what we're looking at here is a man who wants to feel in control, and that isn't specific to any diagnosis. Everyone to some extent wants to feel that they are in control, but we're not seeing any real levels of anxiety, just discomfort a bit around not feeling in control of the situation. Again, he's not submitting himself to any grief and anger that's in the room. He's not necessarily reacting fully to what's being said, and he is at one point looking around, watching the reactions of people in the room, seeing what's going on, and again, giving himself this feeling of control that he otherwise would not feel in this situation.
Loved, accepted, vibrant, accomplished, brave, and powerful. The truth about Kaylee and Maddie is they would have been kind to you. If you had approached them in their everyday lives, they would have given you directions, thanked you for the compliment, or awkwardly giggled to make your own words less uncomfortable for you. In a world that rejected you, they would have shown mercy. Because the truth is, I'm angry. Every day I'm angry. I'm left shouting at the inside of my own head.
There is one blink that occurs there very briefly, very subtly, when she says that he would have been shown mercy. He perhaps does not believe this. Otherwise, there is nothing going on there. No reaction at all to anything in this specific bit. He perhaps does not fully believe that he would have been shown mercy in the same situation. It's possible and likely that he believes that all people are like himself, that he is not really all that abnormal, even though this is a man who non-verbally is not having any reaction to emotional stimuli, which is typical of those who have antisocial personality disorder. But again, I'm not really here to diagnose anyone. I'm not going to discuss whether he is actually a psychopath or has autism. This is just non-verbally what I would see in anyone, someone who would otherwise feel threatened if they weren't sitting in such a stance. There is a point in this where he closes off his body and he does perhaps feel a lot of discomfort when specific people speak up, as opposed to everything else we see in this particular trial where he doesn't appear to react at all. But you do see very much that his shoulders are tensed up. Even though he appears casual, this is not a casual stance. He is trying to give himself this feeling of some control. And if he does have antisocial personality disorder, something that sociopaths and psychopaths hate the most is feeling a lack of control. Now, again, I'm not going to say that that is specific to a diagnosis, though, because a lot of people who don't have antisocial personality disorder also would like to feel in control of a lot of situations, especially a situation like this. So that in itself does not point to whether he is or isn't a sociopath or psychopath. The lack of blink rate, the lack of reaction to emotional stimuli does indeed point to that specific diagnosis. But again, I am not here to diagnose him.
Everything I wish I could say to you. The truth about me is when I heard the news, I didn't cry. I listened for them. I promised them I would, that I would fight for them, that I would show up no matter what it cost me. I swore I'd never let them feel alone. Because you see, I've always been their heavyweight. I've always been the one to fight the battles they didn't feel ready to fight themselves. All it ever took was a call, and they knew I would handle it for them, no matter the time, no matter the cost. They could wave their white flag because they knew I would never back down, Not for them. And not even death could change that. Somewhere along the line, I started to think about what I would say to them if I was given just one last chance.
Imagine you're in a business meeting and you are the supervisor in the situation. You're attentive, you're in control, you're the one in power here, and someone finally says something that's in agreement to what you've said. You might move forward. And that's very much what we see here. Again, this illusion that he has some control in this situation. He moves forward when the person speaking says, wave this white flag. This is an agreement, and he moves forward, feeling a bit less threatened there, a bit curious about what's about to be stated. As someone has mentioned that there would be some form of submission, surrender there, white flag being symbolic of someone who would surrender. Although a lot of what she discusses here is that she would fight. And there's a brief blink there when she says the word that she would fight. Again, this is a threat to Bryan Kohberger's control or illusion of control there, bring him a bit of discomfort there. Now, there's not a lot that shows that he feels highly uncomfortable there, but just that brief blink there, that veering away from baseline that we see, and she mentions she would fight, and he knows this means fight him, and that breaks his illusion of control there, that someone would perhaps try to gain the upper hand in some power of the situation. He does not like that. Most likely, again, there's not this large cluster of behaviors that really confirms that. I can't say that for sure, but I believe very much that's what we're seeing here, but there's a slight veering of the baseline.